Hello, I'm Jerry Mays. I'm the Economic Development and Ecological Tourism Sustainability Manager for the city of Deltona, Florida. I've been in this position for about 11 years now, and yeah, we've been successful in the city. One of the things we've been particularly successful in is we've developed tourism. Let me tell you a little bit about Deltona. Going back in history, Deltona was not a city until 1995, so we're very new. The construction of what would become the city of Deltona starting in 1962 when the Mackler brothers began developing a retirement community. Well, that retirement community fast became a bedroom community for the city of Orlando and all the growth that was going on there. Our elected officials in Deltona said, you know, we want the city to become a destination. We want people to come to Deltona other than simply to come to the city and live in it. So we looked at it and we said, okay, that's a possibility. What could we offer? We're roughly 26 miles from the world's most famous beach, NASCAR, Biketoberfest, the Bike Week, everything that happens in Daytona Beach. We're also about 28 miles from Orlando, which is the #1 tourism destination in the world. Has a great convention center, but people for the most part come for Disney, SeaWorld, Universal, etc. So with this in mind, here we are, midway between these two on Interstate 4. Now, we looked at it and said, okay, then tourism. Well, tourism's not magic. You don't just have it all of a sudden by saying we're going to. So we had to decide what kind of tourism that we were going to develop within the city of Deltona. Well, we didn't have the beach. We don't have NASCAR. We don't have Disney, Universal, SeaWorld, etc. So we had to come up with something different. One of the things we did have in Deltona was quite a bit of open land. Now the city of Deltona has a population of around 100,000 people, about 42, coming up on 43 square miles. So it's a good sized small city. As such, we looked at it and said, what could we do in Deltona that would bring people for experiences within the city? We'd been working on the idea of ecotourism in the past, so we looked at it and said, okay, let's take a look at this. If a city wants to become an ecotourism mecca, then you had to have certain things. You had to have places where you can have trails, you can have fishing, you can have nature parks. So we decided we'd look at ecotourism. And there's a whole nother story on how we developed that part of economic development for the city of Deltona.
I'm Georgia Turner, and I'm the Executive Director of the West Volusia Tourism Advertising Authority, and I'm here today at one of our wonderful attractions in Deltona, which is Green Springs Park. Ecotourism is extremely important for the West Volusia area. Deltona is probably one of the best examples because of what they've done with their eco parks. It's a great way to show tourists and visitors our natural Florida. Our motto for West Volusia is Old Florida, New Vibe. There's a lot going on to show people what there is to do and what it looked like a long time ago. You can still see that, the natural Florida, but then also there's all the amenities and activities that you can have, wonderful, wonderful trails, all the different things that you can do and see within the city of Deltona. We're very, very fortunate because we represent 14 communities in the West Volusia area, with Deltona being one of them. But there's also a lot of entities and organizations out there that are already promoting ecotourism and everything that there is to do and see in the area. You've got the Coast to Coast Trail that's going to be coming right through Deltona, the St. Johns River to Sea Loop that's coming right through Deltona. So there's all this opportunity, all of this excitement, all of these people and organizations that are promoting Deltona. So that's probably one of the most exciting things that's going on in tourism right now is there is this synergy and partnerships with all of these different organizations to promote the area. And I think it's really awesome to have all of these distinctions, like being a tree city, being a monarch city, being a trail town. Those are all great ways to get publicity, to bring people in. You know, people are interested in that kind of thing. When you have a distinction like that, they're very interested in it, and it brings people into an area.
Ryan, what we have here is what's commonly known as the railroad bridge. Now, back in the 1800s, early 1900s, when this was still a major citrus area, okay, you had a lot of produce that had to be taken down to the river. Okay, put on ships and then taken up to Palatka, Jacksonville, and from there anywhere in the U.S. that it went. But the only sensible way was to either use wagons, which was very slow, or to have some type of a railroad system, and that's what this was. It was a narrow gauge railroad system. We surmise it was probably pulled by mules. Okay, didn't have a steam engine, which would have been very, very expensive. And looking at it, all we had here when we started looking at developing the Thornby Here project was 2 rails. That was it. So we said, you know, let's try and find a way to replicate, to build back the railroad bridge. Now, I'd take you out on the bridge and we'd stand on it, but that's always dangerous. You never go out in a railroad bridge because you never know when a train might come.
Yeah, I think I'll pass.
Okay, good enough. All right, so that's the history of the railroad bridge.
Hi, my name's Pat Northey. I am a former member of the Volusia County Council, serving this community, this beautiful community of Deltona and other areas around here. I currently serve as the chair of the Volusia ECHO program. It's a 20-year referendum that we voted on in November to tax ourselves 2/10 of a mil that we used for ECHO, which stands for Environmental, Cultural, Historic, and Outdoor. And we match that with additional funding from cities and other not-for-profits, and we are creating a wonderful quality of life here in Volusia County. Well, you know, we're standing here in a beautiful canopy of very old live oak trees and underbrush, storied underbrush that is typical Florida. We are between 2 parks, one a county park and one a city park. And this trail that we're standing on, this wonderful bridge with this trail, this is our recreation trail. It marries all of the parks together so that you can take your bike or you can put your walking shoes on or push your stroller. You can go from Thornby, which is just about a half a mile this way, and right in front of us would be Green Spring, which has a beautiful emerald green spring. This trail system runs from, it's ultimately going to be a 250-mile loop, but here in Deltona, it crosses from the St. Johns River in DeBary, it goes up to Blue Spring Park in Orange City and further up to DeLand, and then it heads east. We head east, we can end up in Titusville. We can go watch a rocket launch in Merritt Island. It links our other assets, whether they be outdoor assets or whether they be cultural assets or historic assets. It's a linear park and it is heavily, heavily used. When Deltona was first designed, it was an unincorporated community and it was the first master plan in Florida. It had a lot of properties, parcels that were set aside for green space that had not been developed by the originators of the community. This ECHO program has allowed the city of Deltona to go back to those basic parcels of property that are beautiful, they're treed and they're kept pretty natural, and to create green space and to create a whole series of parks in the city, nature-based recreation parks with trails and places to recreate and places to have picnics and have family events. It's a wonderful legacy for Deltona.
We're seeing, again, we've seen a lot of birds today. What, 25, 30 species of birds?
Okay, yes.
And I've only been out here a couple hours. So, you know, Again, Audubon has proved itself as a prime location where you can come and in a couple hours time see as many birds as oftentimes you would go and see in a whole day birding in many places. So, you know, again, I'm extremely proud of what we have here. Yeah, it was a good investment that the people made into it. It's, you know, a nature spot. I see people coming over with fishing rods. We had a gentleman come along behind us walking his dog. It's a public park. People use it, as they should.
And the cross-county bicycle trail is less than a tenth or two of a mile distance.
That is true. We parked in the parking lot, which is off Lush Lane, which is right at Doyle Road, major road. And as you said, just to the south of us here is the wind is blowing today, the coast-to-coast bicycle and hiking trail.
Excuse me, Jerry.
There's our wood stork again.
Beautiful, bro. Look at the size of that guy.
Yeah. The city of Deltona has been always proactive in environmental preservation. Again, this park, the other nature-based parks that we've developed, Audubon, Thornby, Rookery Park, that's going to be coming under development. Beachdale, which is the Falling Waters Nature Park, the Three Island Lake Park. So a grouping within the city of just one nature park, truthfully themed an awful lot toward birding, okay? But you know, it's, people like to get out into nature. I mean, you can become nature deprived. You need to get outside. First of all, make sure tourism is the thing you really want to do. If it is, then you need to decide what type of tourism works best for you, your location, your community. There's a lot of different types of tourism that you can utilize. Inventory your resources. Deltona started with an unfinished multi-use trail and one potential nature park. These were the raw assets, and then we went forth and started looking at all the different things within the city: unused park, unused land, stormwater retention ponds, everything that could be developed into an ecological park. Inventory your community assets. We utilize Florida Wildlife Commission, Audubon, Florida Trail Association, on and on and on. Align yourself with all of these. This is important because these are the people who can support you. Start a master plan. We started ours years ago, and you record everything in it that you're planning to do. It's a live document. It will change. Hopefully it will change where you're marking things off that you've completed. If you want a copy of our master plan, we're glad to send you a copy. All you have to do is reach out to us. Have yourself a whiteboard, call it your battle board, and put everything down on it. Not the things 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. These are the things you need to accomplish in the next 30, 45 days. Keep it current, keep it where you look at it. Every time you go into your office, you see it. When you leave your office, you see it. When you sit down, you see it. Look for your funding sources. They are out there. However, grants do not always pay for everything. Even ECHO is a 50-50. Find other grant sources, or your city, your county, whatever, will need to step up and start funding projects. You need to get the word out. Develop a website. Put QR codes on signage. Put your wayfinding signage throughout the city on how to get to your eco parks. Use geofencing for visitors so you can determine how many visitors are going to different parks during the day. Develop an app to go along with your website and the QR code. When they scan that QR code, it takes them to the app, which takes them to the website, and now they're yours. Ecological tourism isn't just nature. It's also economic development. You're talking quality of life for both your residents and for tourists who come to visit your city. Quality of life also leads to commercial recruitment, because that's what large companies want to see in a city, that they're eco-friendly, that they have tourism, that they care about their own citizens. This is important for economic developers to realize. It's important for cities to realize. Look to your health providers and get them on board as sponsors. Get them involved. This is health-based, and hospitals now are mandated to keep people healthy instead of just curing them once they get sick. As part of your advertising, use wayfinding signage. From the time people enter your city until they arrive at the park they're headed for, have signage up that is attractive, that they can utilize to find their way around the city. When you have trails, find out what organization within your state handles the trail management and the trail approvals. In the state of Florida, it's the Office of Greenways and Trails. We used their ability and were able to get a designation as a trail town with a trailhead. And this is important for us because we're now on their websites and people find us there also. You can develop specialty trails. At Thornby Park, we have an ADA designed trail. We don't ask that it's ADA compliant, but it's ADA friendly. And we were able to get that trail listed on Audubon's birdability, which instead of disability, this is where people who are wheelchair bound are able to utilize the park for nature viewing.
In 2017, the City of Deltona applied with the state to receive a designation of Trail Town and for our Lakeshore Center to become a trailhead. Deltona is the nexus for a series of world-class trails. The state's Coast to Coast Trail, the state's East Coast Regional Rail Trail, the St. Johns River to Sea Loop Trail, Volusia County's Spring to Spring Trail, and the City of Deltona's Lakeshore Loop Trail.
We're at the DeBerry Sunrail station. Sunrail runs all the way from Orlando up to DeBerry. You can bring your bicycle with you, and it's a great jumping off point to use the trail system here in Southwest Volusia.
With the Lakeshore Center now a trailhead, neighboring Thornby Park began to see improvements as well. The park received a new mulched trail, an outdoor classroom, a boardwalk, a bridge. All of these are ADA friendly.
Well, Jerry, what do you think about this?
Well, it looks like a limb off that oak tree right there's falling over.
Yeah, well, and nice seat here too.
Yeah.
Nice place to sit down here. These are kind of interesting. They, you know, we leave them here in the forest. We don't take them out. Used to always clean these things up, but they've become new habitat, whole new life for this oak tree.
With those improvements, Thornby Park now has a designation as a birdability nature viewing area by the Audubon Society. With the Trail Town designation, the western boundary for Deltona is Thornby Park. Several miles down, the eastern boundary is Audubon Park. Both of the parks are located on the multi-use trail. Future plans for the trailhead area include an eco-village that could include campsites, cabins, tree houses, restaurants, kayak and canoe landings, and a bicycle shop as well. Lake Monroe, which fronts the Lakeshore Center, also is being explored as a Blueways trail. The City of Deltona is currently expanding its Blueways trails in the interior of the city along the Lake Butler chain of lakes. So from the City of Deltona, please accept our invitation to join us on our series of world-class trails.